It's New Year's Eve and I've been able to clear a couple of projects off my bench and take a look at this speaker. This is a realistic Minimus 77 speaker. Many of you may be familiar with the Minimus 7 series, which made smaller surround and bookshelf type speakers. This is a little bit larger, the 77 series. And I've been using this speaker primarily in the workshop for testing equipment that I've been working on. As you can see, it's fairly beat up, but I bought them just for testing purposes, and I intended maybe at some point to refinish them a little bit or repaint them or powder coat them and then use them as surround sound speakers. For some reason, this speaker, which was sitting on the right side of the bench, but it's not particularly a right speaker, it's just where I was sitting because they're both the same. This one had a weird problem where I would be playing it at low volumes and I'd only hear the very high frequencies out of the tweeter, almost as if the woofer is not working. But if I turned up the volume on the receiver, the woofer would kick in, almost as if there was some kind of intermittent joint or corrosion or something somewhere. And for the longest time I was actually troubleshooting the receiver I had on the bench, thinking it was that. And then I swapped speakers and it stayed with the other one. I swapped this to the other channel, but it stayed with the speaker. So I knew there was something wrong with the speaker, and in a fit of insanity almost, well, maybe not insanity, but I took the back apart, and there isn't really a crossover in here. There's a small transformer and one capacitor that's behind here that kind of acts as the crossover. I took that out and resoldered all the joints on it, every solder joint I could find on there, and sprayed the oxide into these little things and everything else, but it still wouldn't work. And then I started thinking about it. I said, well, if it's only the woofer and the tweeter is on all the time, it's got to be something up front, possibly with the driver itself. So I just took this out. These grates, by the way, if you have one of these, I thought, how am I going to get this apart? There's no screws, there's no clips, there's no nothing. Just take a really small Allen or something and stick it through a hole and pull it away. And these are just glued in. They have a little bit of glue on them. So I'll just have to put a tiny dab of epoxy or some other kind of glue when I put it back together. But I think I'm going to try and clean this off a bit better, too. It's got some white, just from working around the workshop, it's got some white stuff on the front, and I want to get them cleaned up. But anyway, here's the driver from that, the main woofer, and it's got a little bit of splatter on it. Luckily the surrounds on this are in excellent condition, no rotting or anything at all, so I know it's in good condition. But I started looking at the back of it, and I can actually see, and you may not be able to be on camera, you may have to trust me, I can actually see the intermittent solder joint on here, that it must be a cold joint, but when enough power goes through there it kicks in. It's this one. You really can't see it all that well on camera, although you can see the joint looks a little odd compared to the smooth flow of the solder on that one. It's actually broken there, and I can actually move this around and see the joint move. Well, you're not going to get a great view of it. But anyway, I just wanted to make a video about that intermittent problem with this driver. I'm hopeful, considering that's what I've found, that when I resolder this tab and this little wire that actually goes into the voice coil, that it'll work fine after that, and in all likelihood it will. But I just wanted to make a video about how some of these little intermittent things can really get you. And you know, I'm going to probably take the other one apart actually and resolder these. I'm going to solder both when I do this, but probably take the other one apart and resolder that one as well so I don't have any issues with it.